Story 1. Haunted Air Force Base. This base is now deactivated. But back when I lived there in the 70s, it was thriving with the living and the dead. I lived next door to a haunted house in base housing. My wife and I lived in a small concrete block duplex. Each was 2 bedrooms that had swamp coolers for cooling in the summer and natural gas wall heaters for the winter. When we moved into our unit, we found it agreeable for just the 2 of us. While talking to the neighbors, we found out that our unit and the next 3 units had to have the heaters replaced. The unit next to ours had malfunctioned, and the woman living there had died. The next family to move in had a small boy, and he would wake up screaming every night. His mother asked him what was wrong, and he told him the white lady kept coming into his room and saying, "I'm going to take you with me." My wife told her that I'd had experiences with that kind of thing and volunteered me to go look. Naturally, I waited until the full moon. Mama didn't raise no fool. Before I went to check on the house. Now this time, we had a stupid cat. Is there any other kind? And this cat would follow me around. So in we go. Me and the cat. The kitchen's okay. The dining room's okay. The living room's okay. Master bedroom, check. Bathroom, check. Kids' room, not so okay. No feeling of cold or anything, but my eyes were drawn to the far corner of the room. I couldn't see anything, but I just knew something was there. I glanced down at the cat. It was looking at the same spot. I glanced up. Whatever it is has moved closer to me now. Glancing down, the cat is fluffing up, backing down the hallway. I figure the cat has the right idea. Now here's where I made my mistake. I got in front of the cat. I hear this cat make this loud hissing sound. The next thing that happens, the cat went up my back, up off the top of my head, running. I don't stop to look behind me and take off running myself. My wife said that she heard the cat make noises and me say a string of cuss words. Then what sounded like a herd of elephants coming out the door. Needless to say, I recommended our neighbors have the chaplain come out and do something with the house. The second episode. I was coming home around 2 a.m. and I noticed the master bedroom window was open and the light was on at my neighbor's house. I glance over and there's a woman in the window brushing her long blonde hair, not wearing a stitch of clothing. Good neighbor that I am, I call to tell her to close the blinds, at least, because everyone in the neighborhood could see. The first word out of my mouth, the lights go off, the blinds go closed, and the window is shut. I don't to this day know how to explain this, nor do I really understand how I got through the front gate and through the front door. I woke up my wife. I told her what I saw. And she calmly looked at me and said, 1, our neighbor's hair is brown. And 2, they're out of town. But you know what? The woman who died in that house, she had blonde hair. Story 2. Ghost of Illinois. I attended a small college in Illinois. Before I moved into my dorm room, people asked which dorm I was assigned to. When I told them, everyone told me to watch out for the ghost. I believe it was in room 305. Now, this school is a very old school, and the dorm I was assigned to was one of the oldest dorms, dating back to the 1800s. The supposed haunted dorm room was the only single room. The rest were doubles. It was on the 3rd floor, and as the 3rd floor was all guys, the first 2 floors were all girls. The story goes that a freshman hung himself in that room years ago. Another story is that it was the boyfriend killed his girlfriend and then himself in that room. There's so many stories, as with most old ghost stories. Anyway, you were supposed to be able to hear him walking around at night and see him in the windows. My room was diagonal from this room. My only encounters were that sometimes in the middle of the night, if I walked down the hall, I could hear someone outside the stall just walking around, but there would be nothing or no one there. Also, I would leave stuff in my room sometimes, and when I came back, it would be gone, and then later return to the exact same spot. I transferred schools the next semester for personal reasons, and thankfully the new school and the new dorm room doesn't seem to be haunted. Story 3. Disappearing Tracks. One morning my girlfriend and I were laying in bed. It was a cold morning. I didn't have work or school. It had snowed the night before. She lived out in the middle of nowhere, like no neighbor for a mile, nowhere. I hear something, or someone, right outside the window, say, "Get down. They're going to be able to see you. You've got to get down." So of course this startled me, and I turn around to see, and there's a guy and 3 dogs right outside, walking towards the garage door. I grab my handgun, and I go to meet them at the door to find out exactly why they're there. We live in the middle of nowhere. There's no business for them to be here. In the 10 seconds it took me to get outside, they were gone. There was no one there. Right outside our window was shoe prints and paw prints in the fresh snow. I tracked them down to the back of the property, and after about 100 yards, there was only paw prints. The shoe prints had disappeared. I looked over to my left, 10 or 15 yards, and there was very similar paw prints that looked like they came from the forest towards the house. So I tracked those up to the house, where 25 yards from the house, shoe prints appeared. So I followed them to see if maybe they had gone out to the front of the property, but there were none. To this day, I'm not sure what had happened or what exactly it was outside our window. Story 4. The Phantom Dog. I've had a few strange animal-related experiences, but this one stands out for me. I was staying in an inn. The innkeeper made no mention of any pets upon my arrival. Usually innkeepers will warn you if they have a pet that might be wandering into your room. But in the middle of the night, I was woke up to the sensation of a dog licking my hand. I opened my eyes to see a long-haired, black dog standing right beside my bed. I love dogs, so it was quite heartwarming and welcoming, although unexpected. I reached my hand out to pet him, but my hand passed right through his face, as if he was nothing more than an apparition. The figure quickly faded out completely. This startled me out of bed. I proceeded to walk around the room in utter confusion, unable to figure out what had happened. I chalked it up to a hallucination until the next morning, when I mentioned the incident over breakfast and was told that numerous guests have had the same encounter with a long-haired black dog in the middle of the night. It's so common that the owners have given him the name Padfoot. The guest book that I'd signed before leaving were repeated experiences to Padfoot from previous guests. The owners had no history of owning a black dog, so they had no explanation for his presence. He's just their ghostly mascot. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the stories. I know that I've mentioned several times before that I also attended a haunted university and lived in a haunted dorm room. We actually named our resident ghost Pete. And I've also mentioned that I've had a few encounters with ghostly pets or ghostly animals. So these stories kind of struck close to home. I hope you liked them. Thanks for listening. If you did, give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Bye.